Plus, like, why are you intentionally walking Juan Soto with runners at first and second to load up the bases for Pete Alonso?
Who the hell are they playing again?
The Angels.
Well, there's your answer.
Well, they struck out Pete Alonso, so I guess it worked.
Mm. All right, you ready to roll?
Yeah.
Cool. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hello, D-Gens. Welcome to Degenerate Takes. I, of course, am the Brofect one, AJ. Joining me, as always, he's the man with the numbers, sportsbook whisperer, college basketball guru, daddy of the diamond. All hail the king of the links, the money train, Noah. How you doing today, bub?
You know, we're doing all right. Could be doing a little bit better on the diamond today, but that's fine. I gotta take your licks every now and then. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Still got some games left today, so hopefully that turns around. But other than that, we're great.
Good. Love to hear it, brother. Love to hear it. And we've got a lot. We missed yesterday because my father-in-law was in town, and he was like, you want to go golfing. And the only real response that you can say to another grown man when they ask you if you want to go golfing is yes. And so,
As one does, that's fair. I mean, you can't really just, especially your father-in-law now. You can't really just be like, no,
exactly.
I don't want to go golfing.
Exactly. And first time seeing him since the wedding and everything, like I had he had my hands tied, and it was his birthday on Sunday. Like, Noah, I mean,
oh yeah,
I was in cuffs, bro. I was in cuffs.
Yeah, no, that would be just a slap in the face if you said no to that one.
No, exactly. But on top of being able to get out there and like actually having a pretty nice day out, had some good cloud coverage towards the back nine, which was really nice. Par 72 on this course. Noah, what do you think I shot?
94.
Nope. Lower.
Oh, okay. You're in the 80s?
80 on the dot. And I've got two witnesses now in my wife and father-in-law who are not bound by anything. So I'm just saying, Noah, we're a month and a half into my 2027 U.S. Open prep, and I'm not starting to feel good. You know what I mean? But I'm starting to trust the process a little bit more. In the regimen I'm on, the diet I'm on, the workout schedule I'm on, I'm starting to just trust the process. You know what I mean? And I think that is step one in general, is just trusting the process,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to see this in person for myself to believe it. But
hey, whenever you're ready, it's summertime, so just wake up. You got to wake up early on a Saturday, and then we can go golfing, bud. And I would love to show you what I got right now.
Yeah,
I think Joe wants to go play next Saturday if you're down.
We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about it. I'd love to show you. But before we go any further, Noah, do just want to take a moment, shout out to our 534 incredible followers here on Rumble. Everyone watching here over on X and YouTube, y'all are the best. If you like what we're cooking, please hit that like button, hit that follow button. Does help us out a lot more than you know. Noah, this is our NFC East breakdown episode, along with training camp getting started today. It feels like football is starting to finally be back in the air, brother. Like I got a desk, this guy that works like in my cube space, and every day I walk past his Titans flag that he has in his cube. And as we're getting closer to football season, I'm slowly getting more disdain for him just having a flag other than the Arizona Cardinals up in an Arizona cube. And so that's just where I'm at. And so that's how I know, though, that we're ready to, I'm getting back into football season, getting back into that. But do have a couple of things we want to touch on. We did have some big stuff happen this weekend. I do want to start in the college world, Noah. I don't know if you saw this, but, our good friends over at the NCAA, the most well-run organization in the world. I mean, not corrupt whatsoever, make swift, quick decisions, don't drag anything on. These guys know what they're doing. Well, they actually took pretty fast action on this one, as NCAA has placed Memphis men's basketball and softball teams on probation for 2 years after it found an academic counselor paid 2 softball players to do classwork for men's basketball players. And Noah, I the only reason I bring this up, it's one of those jokes that we talk about all the time when we refer to college sports and everything of, oh, well, the athletes have the tutors and they're not really tutors. They just do the homework for them and yada, yada. And, but this is, satire becoming reality. And shout out to Memphis for, hey, doing what they need to do to win. Because at the end of the day, Noah, it's all about winning. And so I do respect their commitment to winning. I'm a little upset in the NIL era. We're still getting busted for paying players, even if it's in a different type of way. But
yeah, well, that's more of an academic thing. You may be asking yourself, is Penny Hardaway getting fined or suspended at all for this? The answer would be no,
no.
no. No ramifications for Memphis basketball for Penny Hardaway there. We're just let's punish softball for doing that, right? Because that makes sense.
Well, I mean, basketball they're on probation, Noah, and we all obviously know what it means to be on probation with the NCAA. And you can explain it if you want to make sure that we have the same understanding. But I think it's pretty clear what probation means when it comes to the NCAA. But I do think Memphis was punished a little bit because 24 hours later, after this, probation period comes down from the NCAA, they put in a bid to, I guess, buy into was it the Big 12 or the Big 10? And
Big 12, yeah.
It was the Big 12, yeah.
They were trying to buy their way into the conference. And I believe it was a figure, was it 300 million?
It was somewhere in that range. Yeah, it was a good chunk of money. And I think if it wasn't for the probationary period, any conference goes ahead and takes some money and says, oh yeah, you're bought in. Don't you worry about it. But
no, I see. Here's the thing. I think in the Big 12's eyes, it's like, okay, Memphis provides some value in basketball and maybe a little bit in football. And they've had a good program in the American Conference. However, being in the top third of the American Conference, you move into the Big 12. You got to imagine Memphis is bottom 2 to 3 almost every single year in football in the Big 12. So really the only value from the Big 12 you're getting there is from a basketball perspective. When you get these athletic directors, these teams voting on that, you're not inviting them to join. They're offering you money to join, which it's like, okay, that makes things interesting. But at the end of the day, these ADs are looking at this and it's like, all right, well, then we have to split our revenue now from 16 to 17 different ways. Somebody else is getting a piece of the pie. So that initial, even if it's 350 million, you split that 16 ways, you're talking about $20 million up front, essentially, for each of these schools. And then you have one more mouth to feed. And that mouth is not providing a ton of value outside of outside of men's basketball. And so I get it. It totally makes sense to me at that figure why the Big 12 would vote no on this. It's just, again, there's just, you got the one piece in basketball there, but the football value is not where it needs to be. And that is the huge moneymaker when it comes to these college.
Oh, absolutely.
Like these athletic departments, athletic programs, is football. Football's the cash cow. Basketball is making you some money. In certain cases, baseball is making you some money, and every other sport is losing you money. So it's like, okay, if all you're getting is a little bit of bump to the basketball prowess of the conference, it's like great. But then, if these teams don't want to be sharing with, they don't want that extra mouth to feed when it comes to the football revenue.
Most definitely. And maybe eventually they get to that point where they're good enough, but it's not something that's going to get turned around in the next year or two. It's going to be a 5-10 year process to get that football program turned around and representing that. Shout out to the American Conference also with the, I like the rename. I like the Eagle for some reason. I don't know why I like the Eagle, but I like the Eagle as being the mascot for the American Conference now. So shout out to them.
Yeah. And Memphis, it seems very clear they want out of the American Conference.
Really? You think so?
Um, I think the landing spot, which it has been clear from the beginning, I was a little surprised that they made this cash offer to try to get it into the Big 12. Um, they have been linked to the Pac-12 as well, which is a conference that at this point with the teams that are in there, I do think it is an upgrade over the American. Maybe
Yeah.
not a huge jump, um, but they're not going to have to buy their way into the Pac-12. You know,
No.
Memphis goes in, and then you got a couple other teams that if you are the Pac-12 names that have been linked. I know Tulane has been a big one linked there. Seen a couple little swirls about North Texas, but I don't think that's anything with substance. North Dakota State being the other team, if they are willing to make that jump to FBS, and I know they're making crazy amounts of money in FCS football wise right now, so I just wish they would, because it's like I'm tired of just seeing the same like 3 to 5 schools just dominating the FCS the entire time and nobody's making the jump. A lot of those other schools don't necessarily have the other sports programs to back it up, but North Dakota State, I think, would be fine.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I think the Pac-12 will continue to grow. What are we up to? 9 teams now, with
Yeah.
the 9th one being Gonzaga, who's basketball only. I imagine by 2028, 2029, we're probably going to be at 12 to 14 teams in the Pac-12. They're going to rebuild that conference. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't kill the Mountain West. I know they've already taken half of those teams.
They've been gutting them.
I think a few more will jump ship, like UNLV, obviously the biggest name there, and I think it's just a matter of time until UNLV caves. And
you know what? I mean, I know we've talked a lot of
money talks, because now you've got a Mountain West that's going to earn a lot less, and UNLV can go and finally win a conference championship because they're probably going to dominate what's left of the Mountain West. But I think give it a couple years and UNLV is going to cave. They're going to join the Pac-12. Wouldn't be surprised if we get Memphis and a couple other teams out of maybe like the American or some of those, some of the top teams out of some of the other smaller group of 6 conferences.
No, definitely. And the more I'm thinking about North Dakota State, Mountain West just makes a lot of sense to me.
They're not.
They would walk in. They would walk in and win the football title the first year. I mean,
I don't know about that. I don't think they're better than Boise State, but I do think North Dakota State could jump up to the FBS level in the not in the Mountain West, in the Pac-12, and I think they're definitely top half of the conference year one. They're likely top 4 in the conference if they do that in football, and basketball wise, they might be bottom 3rd, but I don't think they'll be like the worst program there.
I just watched a bet die.
But also, if they do join, like if they did join the Pac-12, North Dakota State, I think their basketball recruiting would take a big jump.
Yeah.
Because then you're talking about all these local North Dakota kids and maybe some of the surrounding states, right? And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, okay, I have an option to go play in the Pac-12 instead of the Summit League. And I think that would help them a lot with in-state recruiting, in-state and neighboring state recruiting, by being like, oh, hey, we know you have offers from, some of these other Summit League schools, but we're in the Pac-12. We got tougher competition. We got, whatever. They'll get more money, do more, bump up those facilities. And, obviously football is a huge thing with North Dakota State. With both of the Montana schools and both of the Dakota schools, football a huge thing. But I think it's well overdue for North Dakota State to make that jump into FBS. And I know it's
just time.
They've actually run into some more competition in the last 5 to 10 years than they had previously, but they're still a top 5 team every single year in the FCS. They are the Alabama of FCS, basically.
Oh,
And
for sure.
so it's like, Alabama. Now, obviously, we're talking Alabama of 2-3 years ago and prior, but Alabama's got nowhere to go. They got nowhere to go. They're at the top already. North Dakota State, they've had somewhere to go, and they have just declined to do so.
Yeah.
I get it's for monetary reasons. They're making more money in FCS than they probably will going to FBS. But it's like, come on, just take on that next level
Do
of
it. Just
competition.
do it.
Especially then, you're going to have, it could end up working out because you're going to have a lot of larger fan bases from schools with a larger population who are going to have road games, at North Dakota State, and they're going to be going.
Yeah, and it's time. It's time. I think it would be a lot of fun, and it would be a really cool storyline to follow just throughout everything. We will be definitely doing a huge college football preview show before the season starts. I'm hoping to do that after we get to announce the new stuff, Noah. I'm hoping we get to do that before when we get to announce the new stuff, but we'll see how all of that goes. I'm glad you brought up, stepping up to the competition, Noah. Stepping up to the competition, putting out your money where your mouth is. You think you're so good, you should back it up. Let's go ahead and transition over to the world of golf, Noah. And this was a big story last week. And unfortunately, due to scheduling conflicts, we did not get to talk about it last week. So I'm going to go ahead and take a chance to talk about it here today. There is a YouTube golf creator by the name of Victor Hovart, I believe, is how you pronounce it or whatever.
You mean Grant?
Grant, sorry, not Victor Hovland. My God,
I think you merged the two names together. Yeah, Grant.
I read it. I read a story on Victor today, and so I must have. Yeah, my brain doing that. That's not surprising.
Who we did talk about, by the way.
Grant, we talked about Grant already.
Yeah.
Oh, we talked about that on Thursday. All right, then I'll skip that. Let's go ahead and go to the Open then, Noah. I just wanted to call him a pussy again. I'm sorry. I just wanted.
No, that's okay. It's heard.
There's not a lot of stories that stick with me. You know what I mean? But like watching, seeing the results of the Barracuda, it's like, okay, like you're a little bitch, dude. You're a little bitch. You're half as good as you pretend to be, you could have top 10 that event. But whatever. I guess it's just. He's a pussy. It's fine. Anyway, let's go to the Open, Noah, which was, not as electric as it probably could have been, but it was a lot of fun to watch because you got Scotty just going out there and being Scotty. Congratulations to him on winning the Open. His third major in the Grand Slam, fourth major total. Just needs the U.S. Open now for the Grand Slam. Just some fun stats on his whole thing, and this is one that PGA and all of golf media has been pushing through. 1,197 days. That is how many days were between Tiger and his fourth major, second to third major, and Scotty from his second to third or something like that. I don't know, but oh, no, first and fourth major wins. That's what it was. I can't read. No, I'm sorry about that. But, Scotty's the best. Don't get me wrong. He won this tournament, getting another notch on the belt. But I don't think he was the biggest winner this weekend, Noah. I really don't think he was. I think our boy, Ho Tong Lee, is that how you pronounce it? Where the fuck? I need to read it. I can read it and I can pronounce it. I can't.
Haotong
Lee. I believe bro was the biggest winner this weekend. Not only does he go out and put on an absolutely beautiful performance, and it wasn't one of those, like he showed up later in the rounds and then they start talking about him. It was from day one where he shows up and it's like, oh, damn, guy can play some links golf. And then he's consistently just doing well round after round. Had a little bit of a downturn on that last day, but was paired with Scotty, was in the top 3 going in. And, he's talking with Scotty. He wants to practice with Scotty when he comes out here. And Scotty said yes. He's playing in the 3M Open this weekend, Noah. And not trying to spoil our pick show tomorrow, but I'm getting excited about seeing Ho Tong Lee getting back on the course. I'm going to be fading that one big time next week.
But it's because the 3M Open, man. It's
Oh, this is your open, I guess. So bring it
yeah.
on. Let me
Well,
hear it.
it's just such a fucking adjustment if you've spent 2 weeks in a row playing links golf over in the UK, where there's no water hazards. You got pop bunkers. You got a very different style of course, a lot of undulation on the greens, all of that fun stuff to deal with. And then you go to TPC Twin Cities, which is not an overly difficult course by any means. Actually, you can shoot very, very low if you keep your ball dry. However, at the same time, every single year, it has the most balls hit in the water because there's literally fucking water everywhere. And so, like I said, the course is easy if you just hit it into the fairway and then you hit it from the fairway to the green, and then the greens are easy to putt. It's not a big deal. But usually the winners at a really low. It's a weird event because you have the winner at a really low score, but then guys who are missing the cut, like there's a lot of guys shooting over par just because you hit 4 or 5 balls into the water in a single round. You're gonna face the consequences from that. So it's also one where you don't typically see a ton of guys who played in the Open the week before playing in the 3M. I know there's always a handful. But those guys also don't tend to do super well unless their name is Tony Finau.
Yes. Yeah, that's very true.
Tony Finau loves
jet lag does not affect Tony Finau.
No, Tony Finau loves the 3M Open. I don't know if he's playing in it this year or not, but
he is, and his odds are solid. We'll talk about that more tomorrow night when we do our 3M Open picks.
I'm guessing he's probably the favorite, but
no. Oh, he is not close to favorite tomorrow, brother.
Oh, I didn't look.
Oh, I had a little bit of time at work today, and I just glanced at the odds, and I had to, it was a good 1-2 scrolls. I don't remember what he was at, but it was a good 2 scrolls on my phone to get down to Tony's odds.
Okay, interesting.
So we'll talk about that more tomorrow because I got some thoughts, but
yeah, great tournament by Houghton Lee, guy who's kind of been around forever, but not somebody you ever really talk about.
Yes,
I think he's been on.
He's been on the DP, I think they said, for 12 years or something like that.
I was going to say, it's been over a decade since he made his professional debut golfing. And so, great week for him. I don't really make much of it. I don't anticipate that sparking some incredible run or anything. I think he just was playing really well, and the course probably fit what he was doing well. And that's all I'm reading into this. Although I think winner of the week, Harris English, getting his second runner-up in a major this year, and played himself into the top 6 points-wise for the U.S. Ryder Cup team. So
he did. You're right.
Harris English bumping JT out, jumping over Colin Morikawa, and Harris English now sitting in that 6th spot, which is an automatic in to the U.S. Ryder Cup team. And I with no more majors, because with the Ryder Cup standings, those majors are incredibly heavily weighted points wise. That's why JJ Spawn's sitting 3rd still, who's not that far behind Xander Schauffele. And you sit here and you're like, you can't be like, oh, JJ Spawn's had only slightly worse of a year than Xander Schauffele, but he's riding all them fucking points from the U.S. Open. But yeah, Harris English, I think, should be able to, barring JT or Morikawa grabbing a win in a tournament, we'll be able to hold on to that. And I think we'll see Harris English now doesn't need to be a captain's pick, which I don't know if he would have been. I
don't think he would have. He's not a guy that, like, when I talk about people who Keegan Bradley's going to pick, not a guy that I'm like, oh, he would go with Harris English.
Right. And, if you're JT, if you're Colin Morikawa, I don't think you got to worry about shit. You're still going to be a captain's pick, those two.
Yeah.
Cantley might be on the fence. He's one that might need
to worry. He's not been playing well, though, at all.
Yeah, he's still sitting, I think, 9th or 10th in points-wise.
14th,
Going to be real interesting what Keegan does regarding himself. I know initially said he wasn't going to pick himself. I think he's sitting 10th right now points-wise. But
well, nothing's been announced regarding him, but it wasn't announced today, I believe, that the captains of the Ryder Cup team have approved that there can be a vice captain elected if the captain is playing to make captain decisions while the captain's playing.
Which, yeah, I
So
know
it
that.
opens the door for it. Whether it happens or not, obviously still up in the air, but Keegan Bradley, still a guy that's playing very good golf right now that I would not mind seeing on our Ryder Cup team.
Yeah, and it's tough because it's like, yeah, it's like one of those things where if you're in that position, it's like, yeah, like
But
you're probably resisting all the urges to do that. But
yes.
also, there's not 12 American golfers better than Keegan Bradley right now. So
No, there's not.
he should pick himself. I think personally, will he? I don't know. I think he probably is losing a lot of sleep every single night over that.
It's a lose-lose situation for him. You know what I mean? Because if he picks himself and goes out there and plays like shit, he looks like an asshole. But if he doesn't pick himself and then whoever he puts in that spot plays like shit, he's an asshole.
Yeah, the only win is if he picks himself and plays great, or his, captain's
Yeah.
all play really well. But I will say one guy who I think you got to at least give some consideration to after the last 2 weeks, Chris Gotterup. I mean, winning the Scottish Open, performing extremely well at the Open.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I know it's 2 links courses, and he hasn't really done much outside of that. But if you're Keegan Bradley, I mean, I think that's a guy you got to at least consider. I don't think he makes that cut into the top 12, but I mean, if Gotterup, and I don't know if he's playing in the 3M. I mean, we only have 2 more events this season: the 3M and then the Wyndham.
Oh shit! Yeah, and then we're off to the playoffs, aren't we? Is
Yeah,
it really that quick already? I guess we're almost we're in August.
Yeah, no, that's
Wyndham and then the St. Jude's.
Yeah. So 3M
Damn,
and Wyndham.
this season went fast. Fuck.
Only 2 events left, so if anybody needs points on the FedEx Cup standings, I got her up fine. Like, he's totally okay from FedEx Cup points wise after winning the Scottish Open, but
hey, if he can pull one out of his ass in the next 2 weeks, I mean, that'd probably secure, or at least make it a heavy conversation for that Ryder Cup.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where a guy like Gotterup or a few of these other guys, if they can grab a win. And this year might be different because we do have a Ryder Cup on the line. So there might be, when you talk about the Wyndham Championship at the end of the year, that might be something guys like JT and Colin Morikawa look at playing if they wouldn't otherwise, to try to earn those points to get that automatic qualifier onto the U.S. Ryder Cup team. And something that, I wouldn't be surprised to see Harris English playing as well.
Yeah, me either.
To try to safeguard and protect that number 6 spot and say, hey, because even more so for Harris English, because if I think JT Morikawa got a better chance at being a captain's pick. You might see Cantley playing because, I mean, for Cantley, like it might. I feel like Cantley's like 50-50 right now, whether Keegan chooses him or not. If he goes out and gets a win at the Wyndham at the last tournament of the regular season, that's a big swaying point to like make that. So with the Ryder Cup implications for Team USA, going to be a little bit interesting to just keep an eye on. It's not a ton of guys, probably like 5 to 7 guys to keep an eye on, see what they do playing in these events and how they perform. So again, I gotta say Harris English is the winner of the week for me, even maybe more so than Scotty. I mean, it is Scotty. Scotty's the winner, but
Scotty's such a dog, dude.
I think my favorite tweet or talking point afterwards was the fact that earlier in the week before the tournament started, Scotty was like, "Yeah, I don't really get true joy out of this." Like, and then it's like, imagine how shitty that's got to feel to get beat by a guy who's like, yeah,
But and I heard a lot of people talk about this, and so I do agree with one kind of thought process behind it. And there was one tweet that really like kind of sent it over the edge. I wish I saved it, but there was a 5-foot putt for a birdie on hole 7 on Sunday or Saturday that he hit, and he was so pumped about it. Like, you would have thought he just made his first birdie ever. And that was the point. It was like, golf means so much to him. He wants to do so good. But at the end of the day, like, you got to take the small victories. You can't harp on those small victories, and you got to keep it moving. And I think that's part of what makes him as good as he is, because he's not sitting there thinking, well, I've won all these majors already, all these events already. He's just looking for that next little victory. And don't get me wrong, winning a major is not a small victory, but it seems like that's almost like what he's talking about. You know what I mean?
But yeah, it's also funny too. Like, no, you know exactly what he's talking about, because every time that he goes and wins a tournament, he shows a brief little bit of excitement generally, and then he's more excited to go hug Meredith and say hi to Bennett. Like,
yeah,
the man cares more about saying hi to his wife and kid after a goddamn major win than he cared about actually winning the tournament. Like, he's.
I saw the funniest tweet from the weekend was a picture of Meredith handing Bennett to Scotty.
Yeah, I think I sent you that one.
Yeah, and she was like, hey, so it's your turn with the kid. You've been out playing with your boys golfing all day. It's your turn with the child. I've been with.
Oh, no.
No.
The one I sent you was like, it was the kid Bennett. He was like reaching his arm out and looking away. And it was like, what? Like, we don't do this every Sunday?
Dude, I saw another tweet. It was like, this kid has seen his dad win, 3 majors, an Olympic gold medal, 14 total PGA events. No, I'm sorry, 11 total PGA events. And he's 14 months old. Like, a hell of a 14 months to start life off. You know what I mean? Oh, man.
I mean, a month or two ago, the kid literally took his first steps on the golf course.
After
Scotty won, because I remember, because it was I don't remember which tournament, but it was one of those like a month or two ago. Scotty's doing his post game stuff. Camera pans over, and you can just tell by Meredith's face that that was the kid's first time walking. Was literally on the green while Scotty's accepting yet another trophy.
Yet another one. You know, Daddy's toys. I mean, he's just gonna think that's so normal. He's gonna go to school and he's gonna be like, "How many times has your dad won on the PGA?" That's gonna be a wild kindergarten class.
Yeah.
Oh man. Shout out to Scotty. Shout out to the PGA. Shout out to DP World Tour, Live Golf. Hell of a major. Great weekend. Good, good links conditions. It was fun though. I don't know about you. I had a lot of fun with this one this weekend.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, yeah, because you brought up Live. It's been a couple of years since Live started.
I believe we're going into year 4, because a lot of the contracts they signed were your 5-year contracts, and a lot of those are coming up next year.
Right, and they really haven't added any more star power since their inception, other than John Rahm being the one late addition. But it feels like every one of these majors, big tournaments, we have one, maybe 2 Live guys on the first page or 2 of the leaderboard. Tyrrell Hatton holding that.
It's only 2 of them. It's either Bryson, Tyrrell. Like, there's no others that we really talk about. Like, we talk about how bad John Rahm plays in these majors, but
yeah, well, DJ's washed. Every now and then,
Mickelson's washed.
Fucking for whatever reason, Mickelson gets out there on Augusta, and it's just like, all right, I can play golf. I can still play. I don't understand it, but like for some reason, feels like, yeah, I'm still good enough to crack the top 20, top 10 at Augusta. But I think he just either knows that course or what. I don't know what it is, but that's just the magic of Augusta. But yeah, it feels like they're becoming, outside of Bryson especially, less and less competitive each and every one of these events. And not making too much of it, but just something to think about. Obviously, they're not adding any more big names. the guys that they did add were already not on the super younger star end, anyways, and are continuing to get a little bit older, and just makes you wonder. I don't know, man.
McCormick, that is a rough fucking weekend. I'm just going to let you know. That is a rough weekend. But you got to stop trusting Aubert. We stopped trusting Aubert. You got to stop trusting Aubert.
Well, you just take him in tournaments that don't mean jack shit, that don't have some big stars in the game, and he's great. Dude hates the wind. I'm telling you though, that is his.
Oh, he
That,
really
that
hates
is
the
his
wind.
big thing. It doesn't matter about course difficulty, any of that. It's wind. You throw a little wind at Ludwig Aubert.
He has no idea what the fuck golf is anymore. It's unbelievable.
Oh, he loses his mind as soon as there's some wind, and I don't know what it is, but not that it was particularly windy this week or last week, but yeah, he just. I think he's an incredible golfer in ideal golf situations with greens that don't have a lot of slope to them.
Yes. Yes. If he plays in perfect conditions, he's one of the best golfers on the tour. But also, if I played on a simulator and didn't have to putt, I'd be one of the best golfers on tour. So take that with what you will. But dude, sweet. Anything else on golf? And I mean, we're saving some stuff for tomorrow, but anything else on golf?
No, not right now. Not as far as the Open goes. Obviously, we got the hometown 3M coming
3M Open tomorrow. We will be talking about that with our best picks, analysis, predictions, all of that. So you won't want to miss that tomorrow night. But Noah, this is an NFL show. You ready to get into a little NFL news before we get into the East?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead and start off with happy training camp day, bud. A lot of teams reporting not only today, yesterday, but throughout this week. Training camp has officially started in the NFL. And Noah, we do have a football game that will be played next week with NFL colors and logos on the field.
Oh boy.
I know. Hall of Fame game next week. Cannot wait for it. July 31st.
It's already coming up.
Dude, yeah.
God damn.
Like we're right here, brother. We're on the cusp of it. I had to have that. I had to look at my wife today and be like, "Hey, babe, it's coming. It's coming."
Yeah, let's watch some garbage preseason football.
Bet the under, bet the over, and just hope you get the middle. But anyway, live, I guess I should say. Bet live.
Oh, okay.
Live unders and overs, because you don't actually take spreads on these games. But with the start of training camp, Noah, comes the annual time where it's time for players to make their point to the teams and hold in or hold out. Starting, of course, with Kyron Williams, who has reported to training camp, but is staging a hold-in as he's looking for more money. It feels like half of the 49ers are sitting out waiting for more money.
That dumpster fire?
Dude, it's I will say, as a Arizona Cardinals fan, I look at the 49er situation right now with like Juwan Jennings and everything, and I just get nothing but joy and just pure happiness watching this team just kind of fumble. And so I'm so super stoked on it as a guy who analyzes sports and football teams and like what's best for the teams. Not good stuff either. So maybe they need to figure it out. Maybe John Lynch needs to hold on to that book a little bit. But
they've basically been giving it, everybody whatever money they're asking for the last 2 years outside of Deebo Samuel. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how Brock Purdy does with that receiving core. Because I don't know. You got. First of all, you got Ayuk as your wide receiver 1, and then you got probably Juwan Jennings as your wide receiver 2, who's holding out for more money. You got Ricky Pearsall, who should be decent, and then your wide receiver, I think 4 on the depth chart is Jacob Cowing, who we loved watching at U of A. I mean, he did a tremendous job there, but we'll see what happens. And obviously you got Kittle and McCaffrey, but I think for the Niners, it's going to be time to pay the piper is coming up real soon.
Real
Actually, I
soon.
think it's already coming up, starting last season, and they're just going to continue feeling the events, and they got to do. I would have thought they would have done something to avoid being in a Saints situation of the last 7-8 years, but it feels like they are, because I have a lot of respect for John Lynch as a GM, and
Yeah.
he's done a tremendous job. However, it does feel like they are kind of trending towards that direction, and they're like, oh, we'll just pay everybody, and then we'll just do some salary cap gymnastics to push it down the road and figure it out then. And
It doesn't feel like he has that.
well,
It
and the
doesn't.
problem is you're paying all this money for a mediocre roster at
Yeah.
best at this point. So I think if you're John Lynch, get back to what you do best and just find some absolute steals in the mid rounds of the draft. And it's so funny that they have had no loyalty to any of the quarterbacks that they've brought in until Brock Purdy for some reason, who I will die on the hill that he's no better than Jimmy Garoppolo was when he was there. Jimmy Garoppolo got
Yeah.
just as close to a Super Bowl, if not slightly closer than Brock Purdy.
I'm right
And
there.
and they
But
kicked
he
Jimmy
didn't
Garoppolo,
do it as the last pick of the draft, Noah.
and they kicked Jimmy G to the fucking curb. Yet somehow here they are giving Brock Purdy $40+ million a year. So
I don't get it.
make that make sense. I don't know what the diehard loyalty is to Brock Purdy. He's fine. Okay, he's fine. Whatever. I'm not gonna sit and shit on him, but it's Brock Purdy. He's limited by his he definitely has a hard ceiling with athletic ability, with arm talent, all of that. I get he's an incredibly smart guy. He's really good at learning playbook, all of that, and that's the reason he is in the NFL is because of his brain. But he's limited by his physicality, and that's
For sure.
the fucking truth of the situation. He's never going to be a guy who can do Hall of Fame quarterback things because he is limited by his goddamn physicality.
He really is. And
Best case scenario, you just get a Tony Romo.
I think that's generous. I think we're looking more at a Mark Sanchez type situation here. We'll see if he does a good butt fumble. But again, I'm here for the 49ers downfall. I'm very much here for it. So I'm excited about that. While we're on the West, real quick, McCormick, I'm going to wait to tell Will about that take until week 1 when we do the Sunday morning pick show. And then I'm going to drop the Kyler MVP on him. That's my game plan with that. And please keep hyping up the Cardinals because I'm very much on that same bandwagon right now, brother. I'm getting training camp videos and Marvin Harrison workout videos. I'm feeling good. But anyway, one team
All that to miss the playoffs yet again.
Fuck off, Noah. Fuck off. But one other story I want to talk about I've got 2 other things in the NFL before we get into the East, Noah. This whole Trey Hendrickson thing has gotten a little ridiculous at this point. The Bengals should really have a sign up that just says, we're not going to pay loyal players who play well for us. And ownership came out and said, listen, we've paid people. We paid Jamar. We paid T. We paid Joe. I don't know why we're getting all this hate for not paying Trey.
Paid T after pissing him the fuck off by franchise tagging him 2 times in a row when he said he didn't want to be franchise tagged both times, and also demanded a trade one of the 2 times. And we just said, nah, we see your trade demand and we'll offer you a franchise tag.
Pretty good deal. No, but it's, I don't know. I respect everything Trey Hendrickson has done up to this point. He was in Cincinnati and doing everything. Yo, McCormick, thank you for the donation, brother. He's been in Cincinnati. He's been ready to go and been ready to talk and do all of this. And then training camp starts today. He doesn't report. He goes down to Jacksonville with his wife. He's still working out, still training, but he didn't want to hear the whistles. He didn't want to hear, the pads clicking for the first time in the season and didn't want to be a distraction. I respect this. Even if he doesn't play this season, he's going to get paid a shit ton of money by some team next year, or he's going to get traded this year for a huge load. It is just, it feels like they could do it. It feels like they could do it if they just got out of their own way. But here they are, yet again, being the Bengals and not getting out of their own way. And that's why I'm going to continue to stick with my take that the Bengals are going to be the most overhyped team going into this season. It's terrible because, yes, they have Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, incredible weapons on the offensive side. They'll put up points, but, Shamar Stewart still isn't signed. That defense is going to be a fucking mess without those two. And even with those two, it's still not going to be close to the top of the league.
It's not going to be great.
Yeah. No, but that at least adds a little bit to it and gives you some help. But they're still not in a good place right now.
Yeah. Well, and Hendrickson also saying today that the Bengals have made 2 different contract offers to him in the last 24 hours, both of which he declined, neither of which were willing to guarantee past year 1 of the contract.
What are they doing, dude? What are they doing? Sack leader last year and has been in that conversation for multiple years. But you know what?
The problem here being the Bengals are only one. Like, the fact that the Bengals aren't willing to guarantee more than 1 fucking year of his contract. Like, yeah, no shit, he's going to say no. Like, especially seeing all these other contracts that are being signed. Like, you see a TJ Watt type of contract. Now, I don't know what the annual salary per year is, but if the Bengals are offering him, if the Bengals are offering him 4 years, $230 million, but they're only like, yeah, we'll guarantee 35 of it. Like, it's the cheap ass Bengals not being willing to take care of their players, and this has been ongoing for so long that we've seen this movie before. And
this is why there'll always be a joke of a franchise.
Yeah, and so as they continue to throw more offers at him that he just inevitably probably continues to decline, there's a great team in Green Bay, Wisconsin that has the cap space to bring him in, that will be willing to play ball. And I haven't heard much out of the Packers camp, but I think the Packers are just sitting back and waiting for tensions to get even higher with this, so they can get a real fucking steal on Trey Hendrickson, because it's one of those where it does. I'm not going to say it's the only logical landing point, but it seems like by far the most logical landing point for both parties, for Hendrickson and for the team. For the Packers will probably give up a 2nd round pick or something for him, and then they'll restructure his contract, probably give him some really nice contract. I mean, Packers are out here paying players this offseason. They have the last couple off seasons. It's, you get Jair off the books and just gave Zach Tom a 4-year, $88 million contract. And I'll tell
TJ Watt's contract, by the way, $123 million contract for 3 years with $108 million guaranteed. So, Noah, let's be very clear about that. That means there's only $15 million of that contract that is not guaranteed in that 3-year deal. For a guy who has shown the same loyalty to a team, who has put up the same type of production for a team, and we're not even talking a 2-year guarantee.
Yeah, but he's 30 years old, man. I mean, like...
Dude, I get it, but athletes have just, but also, I mean, but LeBron's 40. You know what I mean? Like, athletes have, the ones that have these longevity careers can play into their 30s and even longer and still be fine.
You read that the complete opposite of what I meant.
Okay, my bad.
I said he's only 30.
Oh, you said only. I missed the only. That's my bad.
Yeah, he's only 30 as an edge rusher who is at the prime of his career right now, and the Bengals are unwilling to give him the guaranteed money that he wants. And like there's teams that are willing to do that. There's teams that are willing to pay that. And if the Bengals want to play fucking hardball again, like they did with T. Higgins, I don't think Hendrickson's going to do what Higgins did, and he's going to be a free agent next year, and they're going to get zero fucking return for him. and he's going to go sign wherever the hell he wants. Hopefully to some division rival out of spite. If no trade gets done, just go sign with the fucking Ravens or the Steelers and rush opposite. I don't know if the Steelers can afford to spend that much on edge rushers, but
maybe they can after Rodgers is off the books next year, but we'll see. But again, you can't spell Bengals without L's, and they're already in the preseason. Not even in preseason yet, and they're taking L's left, right, and center. So, shout out to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, completely off topic, but shout out Simeon Woods Richardson for just making Shohei look like an idiot there. Massive whiff.
Shout out to Simeon Woods Richardson. Noah, we've already been going for a minute. Do you mind if we step away so I can refill and then we'll break down the NFC East?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Before we do that, do just want to take another moment. Shout out to everyone watching right now. X, Twitter, YouTube, and Rumble. However you're listening, watching, we appreciate each and every single one of you. Please hit that like button, hit the follow button. Helps us out a lot more than you know. I'm the Bro 51 AJ. That's the Money Train. No, we'll be right back. Ready to roll?
Yep.
3, 2, And we are back. Hello, DGen, Brofect1 AJ, Money Train, Noah. It is time for our NFC East breakdown. And Noah, one thing that we always talk about when we talk about the NFC East is, oh, is this going to be the NFC least? Is this going to be the NFC beast? And it's not going to be either of those this year, Noah. I've decided that already. It's not going to be the NFC least. It's not going to be the NFC beast. It's going to be the NFC top and bottoms, because it is very clear that there are two teams that are on top in this division and two teams that I will not be spending any hard-earned money betting on this season.
Yeah. I mean, I mostly agree with that. I think, you got two clear front runners. You got one team that I think is very solidly, I would bet a lot of money, going to finish third in the division, and then one that I am very confident in saying will be the bottom feeder. And
for sure,
I think we're going to get a fairly normal top to bottom looking division here out of the NFC East this year. I don't think it's going to be an NFC beast year. It's not going to be an NFC least year. It's we're not going to see four teams around or above 500. We're not going to see four teams struggling to be over 500. We're going to see some normal scaling as far as NFL divisions go, I think, out of this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of these teams will win games that they shouldn't and all that fun stuff. But you ready to get into it?
Yeah, who you want to start with here?
Well, Noah, because we are a sports show and talking about the NFC East, we are legally obligated to start with the Dallas Cowboys. So let's go.
Okay. I figured you were either going to start with the Cowboys or the defending Super Bowl champions, one of the two.
No, even though they won the Super Bowl, we are legally obligated. Like, I got an email today when I put out the NFC East title on our video, and it said, make sure you talk about the Cowboys first. So Here we are talking about the Cowboys first. Hope ESPN's fucking happy. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about this Cowboys team, Noah. A Cowboys team whose biggest change this offseason was at the head coaching position, with Brian Schottenheimer taking over. And, not a name that a lot of people are probably familiar with, but a guy who has been around the league for a long time. His first job being in '97 as an offensive assistant. What?
I mean, if you follow the NFL closely, you should know. Right.
Like, don't get me wrong. Once I started reading his resume, I was like, oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. But over the last couple of years, I mean, Cowboys offensive coordinator, that's like being called just the lame duck in general. And so it's not someone you just take note of, I guess you could say, but he steps in there. And, he was their OC for the last couple of years. And so he's been around the building. He knows how the building operates, knows Dak, knows this offense. And I hate to say it, but that's kind of the worst part about this team right now is Dak Prescott over the last couple of years. And I know he's been dealing with injuries and stuff, but he hasn't, been out there to show anything special. He has those moments of spectacular stuff, but can't really capitalize it to keep it going. And I mean, there's plenty of blame to go around. When you only have CeeDee Lamb to throw to, it kind of limits your decisions on offense, not considering the fact that they've had terrible run game for the past four seasons.
No run support either.
No.
Yeah, so you got CeeDee Lamb and then a bunch of schmucks in your receiver room. You got no run game. I don't think Dak's a bad quarterback.
Dak isn't a terrible quarterback, but he's not a great quarterback.
I'll put it this way. There's definitely not 32 better quarterbacks than Dak. So
Amen.
I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, Dak doesn't deserve to be a starting quarterback in the NFL.
No, I would never say that.
He's proven that. What I will say is I think Dak is a much more expensive Geno Smith.
Yes. Yeah. No, absolutely he is. And the Cowboys, yet again, just had a very quiet offseason. They got him George Pickens, but George Pickens is going to be good for 100 yards a game receiving and 75 penalty yards. And so it really kind of cancels itself out.
About 10 touchdowns, 8 fumbles.
Yeah, something like it's kind of just a net neutral move in my opinion. And yes, it may draw an eye or two away from CeeDee Lamb for a play, but it's not going to be something that suddenly CeeDee Lamb's going to be wide open every single time. And they can just feed him. And they're going to keep feeding him the ball either way, so it doesn't really matter, but
Yeah, I like the idea of them picking up Pickens, but I don't think it works without figuring out the run game as
No.
well. You figure out the run game, and then you have Pickens as a distraction to CeeDee Lamb that opens them both up a shit ton in the pass game. But if you still have no fucking run game, I don't think it does a ton. But
No, and I mean, let's run through their running back room, Noah, and tell me if you would draft any of these guys on your fantasy team. Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, Jaden Blue, and Deuce Vaughn.
yeah, I really want a running back who's going to be in a split backfield of Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams. That sounds like a fantastic 8 fantasy points a game right
It
there.
does. It does. And that's the thing. Outside of CeeDee Lamb, they don't really have any game players. And then you go to the defensive side of the football, which it just looks like a mess. Again, they haven't done anything to improve it. If anything, they're at risk of making it worse, considering they haven't re-signed Micah Parsons yet. And Jerry Jones is just going to do that thing where he waits for everyone else to get signed and then just make sure that he's got the highest paid player on the roster for whatever reason. And whatever sick thing goes through his head when he does that. But it's, I hate to say, like, I don't hate to say it, but it's just becoming, I feel like an echo chamber now after doing this for 5 seasons now, going into our 6th season, Noah. The Cowboys are a joke. They're a circus. They're the Harlem Globetrotters. They'll sign the fancy pieces. They'll have some good plays. They'll be in every primetime game, but they'll have absolutely nothing to show for it.
Yeah, well, and it's been this routine of every offseason. It's all this talk, especially starting with Jerry Jones about everything they're going to do in the offseason. And then all they end up doing is just paying paying half the guys that are already on the roster, letting half of them go, and then bringing in maybe one like B tier free agent, and that's George Pickens. And they're gonna sign Micah Parsons to some crazy deal.
They're going to, yeah.
No question. I wouldn't be surprised if they won up TJ Watt's deal with Micah Parsons, who is great, but he's not TJ Watt, and yet somehow, TJ Watt getting $41 million a year, they're going to somehow give Micah Parsons $44 million a year because Jerry Jones fucking wants to. And I would say, maybe the future will be nice when Jerry Jones isn't there anymore, but with this 3 kids taking over, I don't know if anything's going to change. That'll be yet to be seen until that day comes. But it's like, all right, we talk so much game going into every offseason, and then all they do is just dish out these massive contracts to players on their own team that they could make some roster moves and replace at a cheaper price point for the same production. And all of this to go somewhere in the ballpark of 500.
So, okay. So I want to touch real quick on the future of the Dallas Cowboys because I'm on the other camp. I have a little bit of faith. Jerry's oldest son was doing an interview during media appearances for, the first day of training camp and everything. And he talks about the draft process with Johnny Manziel. And because Jerry really wanted Johnny, no one else really wanted Johnny, but no one else in the room would speak up. They go on the clock. His son steps up and says, "Hey, this isn't it. This isn't it. He's, this is bad stuff that he's got coming out of college. He doesn't do X, Y, Z. Let's go with, I don't know, Zach Martin, potential
Great
Hall of
fucking
Famer." Yeah. And again, and then Jerry Jones looked at his son and said, "I didn't buy the Dallas Cowboys by being safe. I did by taking risk." And that was a middle the road pick right there. And you will never be successful that way. Jerry is out of his fucking mind. That was one of the best draft picks they've ever had. And they saved themselves the whole Johnny Manziel of the whole thing, which we know how that went. And
so I
got faith. I got faith in the future.
Though, but he ended up listening.
Yeah, he did end up listening, but I think he kind of said, it was like, "Son, if you really think this is the best move for them Dallas Cowboys, you go ahead and make this pick. But this is your pick. This pick's going to be on your head if this goes wrong." And so he's definitely prepared to throw his son under the bus if Zach Martin ended up being a bust. I have no ifs, ands, or buts about that, but
Yeah, ended up
that's
being a
Jerry Jones.
phenomenal pick though.
Very, like, one of their best draft picks ever. Anyway, we can spend another 45 minutes shitting on the Cowboys, Noah, but we can just do that talking about their potential records this season. Why don't you give me your floor, ceiling, and actual on this team?
Again, like I said, it's going to be the same old Cowboys, right? I think they're going to be decent enough to win some games. They get the benefit of having not as probably the easiest schedule out of any team in this division, I would say.
No.
Okay, well, you can disagree, but I think they have.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was agreeing with you. Like, no,
Okay.
they definitely,
Yeah,
like,
I
no
think
other team.
I think they get the benefit of having. Well, I mean, the Giants might have an easier schedule if not for the fact that they got to play Philly, Washington, and Dallas, and Dallas at least gets the reprieve of having the Giants twice on their schedule, which they still might end up splitting. I don't know. I got a floor for Dallas of 6-11. Like, I don't see a scenario where they're truly awful. With unless Dak goes down with some season-ending injury early, but I think they'll be good enough to scrounge up some wins. I've got an absolute ceiling of 10-7. If everything clicks, everything goes well, that offense can find a run game, can open it up a little bit. 10-7, but realistically, I like them at 8-9 this season. I like them at 8-9, falling a game under 500. They miss the playoffs. They don't get a top 10 pick. It just feels like a very Dallas situation for them to go 8-9, maybe even 7-10. Again, I think they'll win some games. Their schedule is fairly favorable outside of having to play Philly. I think they lose both to the Eagles, but I think they could end. I think there's a scenario where they could end up splitting games with Washington. Yeah. They should beat New York twice, but this is the NFC East, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them split games with the Giants and the Commanders somehow.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I like them at, I think, 8-9. I was between 7-10, 8-9, and I think I landed on 8-9 with them just because of the ease of their schedule this year.
I get where you're coming from. I have a lot less faith in the Cowboys, and I feel like this team as a whole takes a step back this year. Yes, this coach has been with the team and knows how everyone operates, but it's still a new regime and new this, new that. So I
think it's an upgrade from Mike McCarthy, though.
Oh, I think it's a definite upgrade from McCarthy. I'm not saying that it's not an upgrade, but there's always growing pains that come with a new head coach. And I just have no faith in this Dallas team whatsoever. I got their floor at 4-13. I've got their ceiling at 8-9. I think they're actually going to go about 6-11 this year. I think kind of like we were talking with the 49ers early tonight, I think it's time to pay the piper, and you can only get away with just paying star players for so long without having an actual team around them. And so I hope Dallas goes ahead and actually, learns that lesson, but it doesn't feel like they're going to, and they're going to continue on this route until, unfortunately, Jerry Jones steps down from the GM position, whether that's by force or other. But
yeah, I was gonna say I don't think Jerry Jones steps down until he
No. I just don't like saying that out loud. I feel bad saying that out loud, and so that's why I go with the when he's done being a GM.
Yeah, but it's Jerry Jones, so he's gonna live till like 107 years old.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be 108 probably calling in the draft pick, bro. It's gonna be a sight to see. Oh, McCormick, I can't wait to talk about the Patriots. No, let's go ahead and keep it moving in the East. Let's go to, I think, a team that we can both agree is going to be the worst team in the NFC East. We're talking New York Giants football team. They got four quarterbacks on the roster, Noah. They say you got 2 quarterbacks on the roster. You got no quarterback. How many quarterbacks do you have on the roster if you got 4 quarterbacks?
One too many.
One too many. I would agree with that. And I mean, it's a very interesting room. You know, you got the experience of Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, and then Jackson Dart, and then the Italian and Tommy DeVito, who I believe by law they do have to keep Tommy DeVito on the roster as part of the New York/New Jersey Giants, which I think seems fair to me. But here's my issue with this team. Like, don't get me wrong. I think the Jackson Dart pick was a good step forward for them. I think, Abdul Carter and Sexy Dexy being back healthy is going to be very good for that defense. But we've seen this too many times where, we saw it with the Steelers last year. You go with Justin Fields, you go with Russell Wilson, and then or you move on to the young kid and you do this, and that's what's going to happen this year. It's going to start with Russell Wilson weeks 1 through 5. It's going to go Jameis Winston 6 through 10, and then Jackson Dart's going to get the rest of the season. Like, unless someone gets hot and they start piling up wins, but they don't have, outside of Malik Neighbors, you don't have an O-line, you don't really have a defense. I don't know. I think it's going to be just rough sailings for this team. For the team this year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to be a pretty show for the Giants, but as far as the quarterback room, you're not carrying 3 quarterbacks onto the roster.
No.
Or you're not carrying 4.
4.
You might carry 3, but most teams don't. You'd carry 2 plus your emergency backup. I don't think Jackson Dart's going to be the emergency backup.
No, Tommy DeVito's their emergency backup.
And realistically, where that leaves us at is Jameis Winston not in a New York Giants uniform.
Going back to the Saints, probably.
I don't think the Saints. I think Jameis potentially is going to be in Tennessee.
Ooh, backing up Ward?
Yes, because...
With Will Levis going down today with that surgery?
Yep, Levis likely out for the season, or most of the season. And I don't think you want Brandon Allen as your veteran in the quarterback room, your backup.
No.
Is Jameis the perfect guy? Maybe not, but you got to imagine one of the 2 teams that's carrying a lot of quarterbacks on the roster with NFL experience in the Giants or the Cleveland Browns. I got to imagine the Titans are willing to give up a 5th or 6th round pick for either Jameis or, Joe Flacco, or I don't know if Kenny Pickett's the guy you necessarily want, but and Flacco might be too old, which is why I think if Tennessee can give up a 6th round pick for Jameis, or they sit and wait. I mean, I think they want to, be ahead of the curve here, and like knowing that the Giants aren't going to be able to carry all those quarterbacks. I don't think you want DeVito if you're the Titans. I think Jameis, being an NFL veteran, is the guy that you want there as your backup.
And just a vibes guy too, because it's not going to be a pretty season for Cam Ward, but you can count on Jameis Winston to keep those vibes up.
Or Tennessee in general. But I think Jameis is a good fit for your backup if you're Tennessee. And I think you're totally willing to give up a 6th or 7th round pick. Even if you got to give up a 5th, it's not the end of the world. And I don't think Jameis would draw a 5th, but I think he falls somewhere in the 6th, 7th round pick is probably all you got to give up for him, especially the Giants knowing they're going to have to get rid of a quarterback anyways.
Yeah.
So I think if you offer the Giants a 6th round pick for Jameis Winston, if you're Tennessee, I wouldn't be surprised to see Jameis, in Tennessee this season.
No, not at all. Not at all. He'll probably, now that you say that, he'll probably end up there. But cool. No, we just talked about where other Giants players are going. So how do you really feel about this team? What's your floor to ceiling and your actual?
I think they had a good offseason.
They did. I'll give them credit.
That being said, I don't think they're going to be particularly much better than they were last year, but it is a step in a multiple-year journey in the right direction. We'll see what happens with Jackson Dart. I don't know. I've got their ceiling at 5-12. They got some easy games on the schedule. They get to play the Saints. They get to play the Raiders. They get Dallas twice. Got a few other ones on there that should be winnable. So 5-12 is kind of where I see their ceiling at. Floor 2-15. I don't think this team's so bad to the point where they're not going to win a game. I think they win at least 2 games. Realistically, I've got them sitting at 3-14 this season. I think it's going to be another ugly season, but again, I think the offseason moves they went in the right direction. If you get the opportunity to get Jackson Dart in there and you're seeing things you like out of him, they're going to be drafting in a very favorable position next year. Going to probably have a top 5 pick again, and just keep building around him because you got Malik Neighbors there. You add one more really star receiver to that. You build up the offensive line a little bit, get that run game going, and add some pieces on defense. I mean, this could be a playoff team in 3 years if all of the right measures are made. And they had a good offseason this season. I don't think that is going to reflect in the win-loss column, though, yet. I think next year we might be looking at a 6-7 win Giant team, depending on what they do. But I think it's going to be a lot of losses, but I think the losses are going to be closer than they have.
Sure.
Real quick, AJ, you talk. I just got to step away for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, you're good, dog.
I'll be within earshot. So,
all right, you're good. Again, Noah and I don't talk about any of these results or our thoughts before the show. I have the Giants going 3-14 this season as well for my actual what I think their record is. Their ceiling, I have a little bit more generous with Noah. I think this is either going to be a really hot team or a really cold team early and late with the quarterback changes. I have their ceiling up at 6-11, and it doesn't seem high, but it is high for this team in general, considering I have their floor at 0-17. Yes, they do have some very nice pieces on this team. Talking about Malik Neighbors, talking about Cam Scadaboo, who I do think is going to be a big impact on that run game. But that O-line still leaves me very worried, and I'm worried that they won't be able to stop a light Sunday breeze. Again, like I said, Sexy Lexi going to be healthy again. Abdul Carter going to be healthy. I like that on the defensive side, but then you have the secondary to worry about, which I do think is going to be very detrimental. And yes, a lot of winnable games against teams that I would say are at the same kind of level with the Giants, but I'm not chalking those up as wins immediately. I think those are going to be hard-fought games, and like Noah said, the losses are going to be closer, and I think those are going to be the losses that will be closer. So that's why I got my floor down there all the way at 0-17, Noah. My God. I think they're going to be bad.
I don't see a scenario where they don't win a game.
I know. And in the NFL today, I get it. It's so hard to go 0-17, but
they do have the Saints on the schedule. So,
hey, Tyler Shuck could be him. We don't know it. Tyler Shuck could be him.
He could be, but we'll see, because if Spencer Rattler's playing at that point, I don't know. And
I can't believe he's still rostered. I really can't believe he's still rostered.
He's one of the top 2 quarterbacks on that depth chart right now, which is saying something. Because I think at best he should be on the practice squad somewhere, if not playing in the CFL or the XFL. But
he would be a good Brahmas quarterback, I think. I think he would look good in that uniform, perform well. That's my fit for Spencer Rattler. But anyway. Let's go ahead and move on, Noah, to some good teams in this division. We talked about the bottom feeders. Let's get into the top of this division, starting with a team that definitely took us by storm last year. And in just a couple of years after the Josh Harris sold the team, they went to the playoffs and had a nice run. We're talking about them Washington Commanders. And I mean, here's where I'm at. If Jaden Daniels comes out this year and has a very similar performance that he did last year, even comes back and as a sophomore year like CJ Stroud comes in, I am over this narrative of the sophomore slump for some of these players. when it comes to quarterbacks, because this would be the second quarterback in the last 4 years that has come out, had a solid rookie season, and then be able to repeat that going in there. And I just, with the level of competition in college and the level of competition in general as they're growing up, you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. NFL is a different speed and everything like that. I'm not trying to discount that transition, but there are some guys that get it and some guys that don't. And the guys that get it, they just get it. You know what I mean? And it just seems like a lot more of these quarterbacks are coming out and getting it.
Yeah, well, shout out to using the VR training.
Yeah.
I mean, shit. That watching that, seeing that, and then being like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. You just play it on 1.5x. You play everything in a VR headset on 1.5x speed, and then you get out there and you're like, oh, this shit's slower.
It's slow. It's slow.
No, way to keep up with technology. I think that's the way to do it. And yeah, we may see a little sophomore slump or something, but I think Washington's going to be just fine. I think they're going to be just fine. I think they get a really, really young team with a lot of really good pieces. And I think there's a chance we might see some mild regression, but I think we're going to see about the same team we saw last year.
Yeah, and especially returning a lot of the pieces on the offensive side of the football that are familiar to Jaden Daniels, pending the whole Terry McLaurin situation right now with the Commanders, as he seems to be their hold-in/holdout for the preseason. But Noah, a move that it was made by the Commanders this offseason in the last couple of weeks that I really feel just got looked over and is actually going to make a bigger impact than people are giving it credit for. They signed Von Miller. And I understand Von Miller is older. No. Hold on. Let me finish my statement. Von Miller is older. He's not going to give you the same on-field production that he would have given you in years past. No, I'm not saying that whatsoever. But like you said, this is a young team, and he will provide that veteran presence, that veteran voice on the offensive side of the football that Terry McLaurin now can provide on the offensive side of the football and be that veteran voice, along with Jaden Daniels, being the leader that he is. But
not to mention Zach Ertz.
Yeah, Zach Ertz. I'm sorry. I can't believe I forgot about Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz, Deebo Samuels now too. Austin Eckler. Yeah, like there's they have that on the offensive side. They didn't really have that on the defensive side. And so I think getting Von Miller in there and understanding that he's not going to put up the same numbers he would have 3-4 years ago, but he is going to be that that presence on the defensive side, that veteran presence there. I think that's going to really help them to hopefully stop some of that regression that we were talking about this season.
Yeah, and we'll see everything that happens there, right? Washington last year kind of reminded me a lot of Cincinnati in 2021.
Yeah.
Where I know Joe Burrow wasn't a rookie, but he missed his entire rookie year and then comes into that season and you have a struggling defense with this really high octane offense run by a rookie quarterback, but both of them out of LSU. That helps the analogy, but it's. I don't think we're going to see a lot of regression from Jaden Daniels. I do think this defense is going to be the weak point of this team again, as they were last year, though.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be some games that are closer than they should be. I think there's going to be some games that are lost because the defense can't make stops. And against some of these more well-coached veteran teams, Washington does not have an easy schedule by any means. I do think they're going to drop some games that you would think should be winnable. And I just think they're going to be out-experienced, out-coached in a few games. Now, obviously, Dan Quinn, a tremendous coach, lots of experience, so maybe out-coached isn't the right word, but I do think they'll be out-experienced in some of these games if the offense gets frustrated.
Yeah.
If that defense is playing any games where they cannot make a stop. I don't think Jaden Daniels has the experience and the maturity yet to be able to push past that. We will see. We will see how he grows from year 1 to year 2. But I do think there's going to be some games where he's not even going to look bad. It's just not going to be enough.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's, kind of what we saw at a CJ Stroud last year. And granted, he was bunch of injuries on the offensive side there, so it's hard to
Right.
kind of compare the two. But you did see a couple of moments where he had a good game. The stat line looked good. It wasn't enough to put it over the edge, which unfortunately the quarterbacks do bear a lot of that responsibility sometimes.
Yeah, and you can draw that analogy with both of them, being young quarterbacks and everything. However, I do think Stroud is much more of a game manager, whereas Jaden Daniels is a dynamic dual threat quarterback.
I would
And
agree. I put him more in the Lamar category, absolutely.
yeah, and with that, and being as young as he is, Jaden Daniels is gonna make some mistakes, whereas Stroud, his yardage, maybe some of his completion percentage slipped a little bit, but I do think it's a little apples to oranges there because I think Stroud's very, very smart with the ball. He
Yeah.
doesn't have the same physical capabilities necessarily that Jaden Daniels does, but Stroud seems like he rarely, if ever, makes the wrong decision. Jaden
Yeah.
Daniels can make the wrong decision. However, Jaden Daniels can do things that Stroud can't. So, from that perspective, I think it's a little bit different, but we'll see because Jaden Daniels does have a tendency to get himself in more trouble than Stroud lets himself open to be.
Yeah, and but
Also,
like but again, when you deal with those dual threat quarterbacks, you just accept that. You know what
yeah,
I mean? That there are going to be more bad decisions made, unfortunately.
yeah, that's true. And then you also have the difference of the fact that since drafting Stroud, even maybe a year before drafting Stroud, the Texans have been making incredible measures to set him up for success.
Yeah.
Washington's got a good thing going, but they haven't been like gung ho on yet.
No.
We're setting this quarterback up to be a major success. It happens that it's worked out well so far, but longevity wise, I do have more faith in Stroud than I do in Jaden Daniels,
Yeah.
and I could be wrong. And I'm not saying I expect Jaden Daniels to fizzle out and just be like an RG3 type of situation. Granted, there was an injury with that, but nonetheless, we will see what happens. I do expect Washington to drop a couple games that are going to be a little bit of a head scratcher. And they're also probably going to steal a couple games at the same time.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't win. So
Yeah.
it's going to be one of those where they're going to be one of those young teams where it's like, how the hell did you lose to this team? But then you beat the Eagles in Philly, but you lost
to the Bears in Chicago. Like, how did that happen?
But you lost to the Chargers at home or something like that.
No, definitely. It's going to be one of those. But Noah, floor, ceiling, actual, what do you got for the Washington Commanders?
I got a little bit more of a spread on them. So I got their floor at probably 9-8. I do think they, worst case scenario, finish just over 500. Ceiling wise, 13-4. I mean, they certainly have the talent, the capability to go there. I was waffling on this with my actual prediction between 10-7, 11-6. I think I'm going to go with 11-6. Again, I think they steal a couple games, but they're also going to drop some.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to land right on 11-6 with the Commanders this year.
I get where you're coming from. I have it a little bit tighter of a spread. I got their floor at 10-7. Their ceiling at 14-3, and I do think they go 12-5 again. That's where I'm at. Just looking at the schedule, like you said, they're going to drop some games. They're going to win some games they shouldn't, and I just think they even out a little bit more. They're good enough to where it's going to even out a little bit more to that 12-5. Obviously, I'm not expecting much of a drop off in performance of Jaden Daniels year over year, and so I think he's going to be. I think it's going to be solid, Noah. I think it's going to be solid.
Yeah, probably will be. I just think tough when you've got a road game at Green Bay, a road game.
Hard schedule. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I guess the Chargers aren't really a true road game, but you got a road game at the Chiefs. You got the Lions at home, the Seahawks at home, which won't be an easy test. Broncos should be a decent team. Got them at home. At the Vikings isn't a gimme. Yeah, obviously, you got the 2 games with the Eagles. It's a little bit of a rough schedule. I mean, they do have some games in there that should be shoe-in wins, but
Yeah.
I think 12 out of the 17 games on their schedule are going to be ones that could go either way. And I do think they'll come on top in more of those than they won't. But, again, I'm giving them a respectable 11-6. But I do think there is quite a range personally between where their floor and their ceiling is, because I think they're going to be in a lot of one-possession games. And it's going to be a matter of, how Jaden Daniels does in those situations, how the defense holds up in those situations. And, if they have a 1-7 record in one possession games, they could be barely over 500. If they go 6-2 in those one possession games, they could have a really damn good record.
I'm with you. I'm with you there. It's gonna be a fun season to watch the Commanders. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's gonna be a fun season to watch the Commanders. Let's go ahead and move over, Noah, to the last team in the East, and that being your reigning defending Super Bowl champions, the Philadelphia Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. And Noah, I've been trying not to fall into the, they won, so they got to be, one of the favorites. But then you start looking into this team more. They returned 18 of 22 starters, 10 on the offensive side, 8 on the defensive side. I mean, you got that chemistry there. You got the winning football culture already there. It's going to go off again. I mean, it's just there. But I got to say, I think a lot of it still relies on how healthy Saquon Barkley can remain throughout the season. And don't get me wrong, I think Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. I think he's got good weapons there with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson. Got a solid tight end room. You got Saquon in the backfield. I like the Agent Dillon signing. I think that's hopefully going to take a couple of, same type of runner, AJ Dillon and Saquon Barkley. I would say there's a difference in the two, but the same type of runner. You know what I mean?
Yeah, gotta see. I was a huge fan of AJ Dillon until the last year or two.
Yeah.
Last 2 seasons, he's been kind of fucking ass. If I'm being real. Obviously, the Packers had no need for him anymore after you bring in. Yeah, he was a great compliment to Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
But then bringing in Josh Jacobs, who's really a true 3-down back and younger, there was no need for him. And then when A.J. Dillon did get touches the last 2 seasons, he was not productive.
I get it.
Which is crazy because with the same offensive line, Josh Jacobs is averaging 6 yards a carry almost,
But that's also kind of why I'm
averaging less than 3. So,
he
got slow. He's still big. He's powerful, but he's slow. Seems like the perfect push guy.
Exactly, and that's my thing. I mean, and don't get me wrong. I think the Packers have a fine offensive line, but like the Eagles do the tush push. That offensive line can get movement, and I think that might help revitalize AJ Dillon's career a little bit. I'm really not joking. I think AJ Dillon is going to have a resurgence of a season this year when it comes to the run game behind that O line.
But maybe not on the stat sheet. Like I said, I feel like it's this guy can squat even more than Saquon can. Like, let's watch him put Saquon and AJ Dillon in the backfield on a tush push, and you're just going to have 2 guys who can squat,
with Jalen Hurts too. Holy shit, that's like a 1,500 combined squat right there.
Well, probably closer to 2,000.
Jesus Christ, those are big boys back there. But
AJ Dillon and Saquon are actually just going to send Jalen Hurts about 8 feet in the air, airborne over. Yeah. That's the new tush push. They're just going to throw him over the line of scrimmage.
Throw him over
4 or 5 yards, so long as he doesn't fumble.
I love it. And the one thing I also love about the Eagles, Noah, even though they just won a Super Bowl, even though they're returning all these starters, even though they should be atop of the NFC East at the end of the year, or at least close to it, I still have a feeling Nick Sirianni's on the hot seat. I,
Well,
I
it's
don't
Philly.
know. That's the Eagles court.
Everyone's always on the goddamn hot seat in Philly. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't. It
Doug,
doesn't. He
Doug
just won a
Peterson
Super
won a
Bowl.
Super Bowl and got fired 2 years later. So
Yeah, no. So I just love that about Philly is like I'm going through the head coaches, and like Brian Daboll was one where I was like maybe he's on the hot seat, but probably not. I think they'll give him another year with Jackson Dart to see what he can do. But
it depends on.
I know
Again with Dable, I don't think it depends on wins and losses. I think it depends on how the team looks in those wins and losses.
exactly.
Like, they could still go 3-14, 4-13, and if they like had a lot of close games that like could have been, winnable that weren't due to coaching decisions, like I think Dable maybe gets another year. But
Yeah, but Nick
yeah,
Sirianni.
Philly's cutthroat. I don't think Sirianni is on the hot seat this year. But if they somehow go out and turn out a 10-7 record, lose a division to Washington, get a wild card, and lose in the first round of the playoffs, he's on the hot seat going into next season. But
would you agree the seat is at least warm? Like the heat seater is on in the car.
I mean, it's Philly. The seat's never comfortable.
That's fair. That's very fair.
I don't think it's hot. I don't think it's temperature hot. I just the seat's never.
It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, because somebody's lighting a trash can fire under. Like 1 second you think you're good, and then in the next second somebody's lighting a trash can on fire underneath your seat, and that's Philadelphia right there.
Yeah. And then they'll boo Santa Claus.
Yeah, the second something isn't going ideal, he's on the hot seat, which he's not right now. He's coming off of a Super Bowl win. I don't even think the seat's warm right now because they haven't played a game. If they go out and who do they play week 1? They play a division.
No, what's their first preseason game, bro? That's the question.
No, I don't. Preseason doesn't matter. You lose at home to the Cowboys week 1, which won't happen. But
on Banner Night,
theoretically, hear me out. Banner Night, you lose at home to the Cowboys. Then he's on the hot seat already.
Seat's hot. And that's gonna be one of the first banner raises the Cowboys have seen in a long time.
Or you beat the Cowboys and then you lose at the Chiefs and then lose at home to the Rams in week 3, or beat the Rams and lose at the Bucks week 4, and you're off to a 2-2 start on the season. Then the seat's warm. You lose to the Cowboys at home week 1, the seat's hot already.
Red hot.
But that's what I'm saying. It's Philly. Like that seat, it's not hot right now, but it's never comfortable, and you're sitting on a plastic seat, and somebody's just ready to start a trash can fire right underneath the seat, and then all of a sudden your seat's melting.
Shout out to Philly. Please never change.
And that's Philadelphia, and that's how it has been. And yeah, never change. We love it and hate it at the same. I mean, it is what it is. It's fun. It's Philly.
It's Philly.
Don't know how they thought bringing a WNBA team to Philly is going to be.
I want to be there opening night. I want to be there opening night for that WNBA game. I really do, and see how the Philly crowd reacts to it.
Yeah, that's probably
going to be fun.
It just feels like that's a recipe for disaster. But either way, yeah, like you said, this team returning a lot of players from a Super Bowl championship roster, a team that had an incredible regular season and basically cruised through the entire postseason. Their only hiccup, not even a hiccup, but their only
stutter.
Their only close-ish game was the first round game against the Packers.
Yeah, that was it.
I mean, and that was 22-12. Like, it wasn't even like it was close, but like the Packers defense actually had an answer for Philly's offense, which nobody else did the rest of the entire playoffs. And Packers just couldn't do shit on offense that game, but that ended up being the closest fucking game of the Eagles playoffs last year. Was in the first round. And it didn't feel close, but score-wise, it ended up close-ish. Yeah, they're going to be pretty damn good again. The only thing is they have a really tough schedule. Maybe I would say this is one of the toughest, if not the toughest, regular season schedules in the league this
It's
year.
a gauntlet.
So,
It is a gauntlet.
and a lot of that being most of their tough games are going to be on the road. Like they got most of their tough games on the road this season.
At
You know,
KC, at Tampa, at Minnesota, at Green Bay, um, at Washington, at Buffalo. I mean, those are just not. And at Buffalo is late in the season, and even if Buffalo clinches, that's just still not a good
yeah.
time.
Well, yeah, you get a late December game at Buffalo, which the Eagles will be fine with. They play outdoors,
They
like
play
it's not.
outdoors. I get that, but still, Buffalo's
But
late.
yeah, I mean, you got late games in the season at Washington, at Buffalo. You know, they do get the Lions at home, but playing at Green Bay, at Minnesota, at Tampa, at Kansas City, like their road schedule is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
I think they'll go above 500 on the road this year,
for sure. It's going to
uh,
be
but
battles, though.
but don't be surprised if they drop 4 games on the road and then if they lose another one on home, at home. You know,
Yeah.
and this team's going to be just as dangerous, barring any crazy injuries, going into the playoffs. It's a tough ass regular season, and I don't know that they're going to get the 1 seed in the NFC and get that first round bye. I
I
just
don't think so.
I don't know that it's going to happen. I've got their floor at 11-6. I think worst case scenario they drop 6 games. Ceiling wise, 14-3. Again,
Okay.
you're playing at Kansas City, at Buffalo, at Minnesota, at Green Bay. Got the Lions at home. 14-3 is the best that I can get to with them because you just can't realistically win all of those games, no matter how damn good you are. And then, I think they go 12-5. I think they go 12-5, which will probably be good enough for maybe the 2 seed in the NFC, which I believe is what they had this past year was the
Yeah.
2 seed. And so I don't think that's a bad thing if you're a Phillies fan or an Eagles fan. It's like, whatever. It's same as last year, and then you just go on your playoff run again. And I think they are definitely going to be a Super Bowl contender. I just think they have a gauntlet of a regular season, and I think they are going to lose 4, 5, 6 games in the regular season.
Yeah. And one thing that we haven't brought up yet, but I do think it is worth mentioning, they do have 2 curses working against them currently. Not only the Super Bowl hangover, but who is the cover athlete on this year's Madden, Noah?
Hey, you better knock on some damn wood right now.
I'm just saying, Saquon Barkley, not only on the cover, but on the cover doing his backwards hurdle.
All right, so when Saquon tears his ACL week 3, blame AJ.
Noah, I am just pointing out what everyone else has already said. And I think it is something that you need to consider when you go into picking, what his team's schedule is going to look like. I'm going to look at every possible, little thing, but I am a little bit more worried about not their schedule though, Noah, than you are. I have their floor at 8-9 at a Steelers level. Yes. And but for what you said, it is not an easy schedule. And don't get me wrong, I think this is still a very good football team. But again, at Green Bay, home against Detroit, and then at Dallas. And don't get me wrong, I don't think Dallas is going to be all that good, and Eagles probably win that game. But they don't have any real breaks. You know what I mean? They have an early bye in week 9. I think it's going to be running on fumes after a very long season, and that's why it's so hard to repeat. I have their ceiling at 12-5. And again, like you said, that has to do with what their road schedule is looking like. I think they realistically go 10-7.
Wow.
But again, it absolutely has nothing to do with this team, how it's constructed, how everyone plays, or the coaching. It has to do with the schedule, the gauntlet they have to walk through, the long season they played last year. And I just think you're going to see a little bit of regression out of this. I do. They're still going to be good. They're still going to make the playoffs, but I just don't think they're going to win this division.
So you think, hypothetically, they get in with a wild card, and they're playing I don't know, going on the road to play Detroit, Green Bay. I don't know who else would be in the mix there, but probably that, right? Because I mean,
Yeah,
NFC South's not
NFC
NFC
South's
South.
not
NFC
gonna.
South winner of the NFC South is going to end up getting some wild card like the Vikings last year, who won 13.
Yeah,
Um, NFC West? I mean,
you might get the Cardinals in there.
although same type of situation though as the NFC South. I don't think the NFC West winner is going to have a tremendous amount of wins because you look at the teams that are in the NFC West, and I mean the Rams are got to be the favorite, but I don't see the Rams winning more than 11, 12 games max. And then you look at Seattle, Arizona, San Francisco. I mean, I think every team in the NFC West, and we'll get to that at a later date, is probably going to be pretty close to 500. Like it's going to be one of those years where every team is going to be between 7 and 10 wins in the NFC. And so, if you're picking the Eagles at 10-7, they're probably going on the road to, I would say, Green Bay or Detroit in the first round. Do you think they finish 10-7 in the regular season and they make another deep run? Because I think they're definitely capable.
And that's my thing. This is a very capable team.
Playoff game, so it's not going to matter because I don't think Washington finishes with a better record than Philly. But
they
have basically the same schedule.
Oh, they do. I don't know. I just like the upside of Washington a lot more than the Eagles right now, just because of what we saw out of the Eagles. And don't get me wrong, they played incredible last year. They won a Super Bowl.
You mean winning the Super Bowl by mid-second quarter?
Again,
it was over halfway through the second quarter.
Again, Noah, the record I have for them comes with how hard the schedule is, how late their season was, and I just think we're going to see a little bit of a downgrade. I'm sorry, I do. And they're going to be a good team. They're going to be a contender that we're going to talk about all season long, and a team that plays very well. And we get to playoffs and we're in a situation where they're playing Detroit, they're playing a Packers, then that's a different conversation because that's playoff football and anything goes at that point. And I'm probably going with the team that won the Super Bowl last year. But again, I love that they're returning so many starters. I love what they've done with this team. I love what Nick Sirianni's doing. That's just where I'm at with their record with the schedule that's presented to me at this time.
Fair enough.
But sweet, dude. That is all I got on the East, NFL, MLB. We could talk about the WNBA All-Star Game, but I think we're all good on that because we've said everything that we've wanted to about the WNBA. So I'm all good. You got anything else to talk about?
Yeah, well, you mentioned the WNBA.
I was just trying to mention it and walk past it.
No, I know. I was just going to crack a quick joke. I was going to say.
Oh, let's hear it.
They pay us what we deserve, yada yada. I think they should go from a salary structure to a profit sharing structure, and that would be spot on right there.
I think they should wear those shirts when ticket prices don't drop like $75 when a player is announced not to be playing. I think then you wear those shirts.
Those ticket prices have $75 drop?
Yeah, when Caitlin Clark's announced not to be playing.
Oh, yeah. Well, any other game not involving Caitlin Clark? I don't know. But
I don't think any other ticket. I think only Caitlin Clark tickets actually hit that $75 range. Maybe the New York Liberty.
Okay. Well, all I'm saying is, let's offer not go to, just offer them a profit.
Offer the profit share. Hey, we'll pay. Hey, you wanna get paid what you're worth? We'll profit share.
Yeah, that would be a real dick move, but really funny at the same time comeback if the owners who are also owners of NBA teams said, hey, we'll offer you a profit sharing model where
we'll profit share the WNBA.
Yeah, you guys collectively get X percentage of the profit. Oh wait, this league
and then just every game check is a bill they owe them however much dollars.
Every game check's just a fucking bill.
You owe me $35,000 for playing in that game tonight.
Hey, so that game, decent attendance. You all owe me $2,100.
I mean, fuck it. I'd do it. I would do that in a heartbeat. Let's go. But then again, this is why I'm not commissioner of the WNBA. That would be so fucking funny. Oh,
No,
that'd be so fucking
yeah.
funny.
Well, maybe if ESPN crams it down our throat more, then it'll stick. But
Hey, well, they're getting rid of baseball, so Sunday night WNBA action. Noah, get ready for it next summer.
yeah, I'll be watching. I
And
got
let me tell you right now, it'll be the Indiana Fever versus whoever that week because they're only going to throw the Indiana Fever on that one.
Yeah, well, hey, they're expanding because what do you do with a business that's losing money?
I really wish Philly was like 2027 and not 2030, just so we could get to that a little quicker. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, end of the day, WNBA not going anywhere because it is essentially subsidized by the NBA,
Yeah.
which I'm also not a big fan of. I think that's also a terribly run organization. But hey, it is what it is, and that's probably part of why they're a terribly run organization. Is they're literally subsidizing a business effort that's losing money. But
Again, Noah, we just learned a very important business decision with the WNBA. When you're hemorrhaging money, expand, expand, expand.
because what could go wrong with that? And we'll leave you on that note today.
Oh, with all that being said, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Shout out to everyone watching Rumble, YouTube, X. Y'all are the best. If you like what we're cooking, please hit those like buttons, hit the follow buttons. Does help us out a lot more than you know. Shout out to McCormick in the chat. We'll be live tomorrow night with our 3M Open picks, predictions, analysis, and all of that. You're not going to want to miss that as we are wrapping up on the PGA Tour season. But till tomorrow night, I'm the Brofict one, AJ. That is the Money Train, Noah, and we'll see you next time on Degenerate Takes.